always double down what's already working best for you. For example, if you're finding that you're calling people in your sourcing talent, whatever you're doing, and you're nailing it, do more calls. If you're finding emails nailing it, do more emails. So that would be my first thing is whatever you are doing really well at already, just double down on that.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we have an incredible interview ahead of us. Before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days like today, we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Some days we open up for Q&A, and other days you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. And as a reminder, if you love the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you are subscribing for more. All right, today, it's a sad day, it's a happy day. We have our fifth and final interview as part of our August series on all things business development, but this one is going to have us wrapping things up with an absolute bang. Our guest today is a multiple-time LinkedIn top sales voice with over 160,000 followers and helps B2B revenue leaders drive substantial pipeline growth using innovative content strategies. So with insights honed from training teams at companies like Salesforce, Google, and Slack, our guest is honestly revolutionizing marketing by championing authentic, engaging approaches that drive real business outcomes in today's crowded market. Sounds like something we might want to talk about here, right? So who's this guest? His name is Morgan Ingram. He is the founder of AMP, where he partners with subject matter experts and influencers to help organizations create compelling content that resonates with the decision makers they're trying to get the attention of. So get ready for a great conversation and to spend some time with an even better human being. Morgan, welcome to the show.
I'm excited, man. Well, I actually wasn't excited for 2 seconds because you said it's a sad day. And I was like, dang, am I going to get roasted on the intro? Sad day. I had to get Morgan. No one else wanted to show up. So I guess we'll get Morgan. I was like, dang, like this is how this is going to start. Cool.
Yeah,
though.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, it's just Morgan. If you want to breeze past this episode, that's fine, you know. But no, you're the capstone on this one. So sad for the listeners that the series is ending. Happy to have you here.
Cool, man. I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So one of the things before we get into just like business development and everything else, you've been at this since 2016. Like that's 8 years, which is kind of crazy to think about. And you also shared that you never really wanted to create a personal brand because you feared what people would think. And I mean, that's like all of us here, right? Anyone who's done it, anyone who's thinking about it. So first question on this is like, what did you see or feel as the opportunity in this world so many years before this has really started to gain traction in the past couple of years?
I saw it on other platforms. So the first place I started creating was, and most people, this is like a graveyard now, Facebook. Facebook back in the day was crazy. Like the organic for Facebook was wild. Like you could post a video, etc., and I would get reach in other places, and I started posting content right after college. So I just wanted to see what could be done, and I saw so many people engaging or commenting or whatever it was through Facebook. And so I went to Facebook. I did Periscope for a while. I don't know if everybody remembers that. It was like I did like 3 live streams a day back in the day. So That's how I got better at video and presenting and all that stuff like that. Because I was like, well, let me just go live, whatever. And so that's where it all started. And then once I saw people like that were younger than me or my age coming out of college, seeing success on social media, I then was like, I believe that the same can happen on LinkedIn. I just think that people just haven't decided that that's what's just going to happen on LinkedIn. And I think everyone was like so focused on, oh, this is just a resume and that's it. And I was like, I think this actually could be way more than that. I think you could post here. People would actually like what you have to say. So then that's when I changed. That's when I just changed my focus on Facebook. And then I actually started investing more into LinkedIn, because there's one thing that I know to be true is even though I've been as consistent as I've been for 8 years, there are people that will just pass you in a 2-year window because, you know, maybe they get more focused on it. There's different mechanisms now. There's more resources to actually do this. But what I do know is that the more consistent that you are, the more you just show up over time, people have that familiarity with you to be like, oh yeah, like I saw what you did, you know, back in X amount of time. So I just knew by being consistent, it would have authority and credibility in the long run, and that's why I made the decision to do it.
Okay, I love it. So Periscope OG.
Periscope, yeah, shout out to Periscope.
You're going to be diving into this new LinkedIn video feed, huh?
I am. That feed's wonky right now, to be fair.
Well, it's all the what beta or something. It's like a closed beta, so there's only so many companies, and half of them don't even know what they're doing in there too. So okay, all right. So, side note. All right. So move from Facebook over to LinkedIn. Let's talk about the fear-based side of it, though, because I know that's the other side that so many people struggle with is the fear, the imposter syndrome. It's like, what was your internal talk track as you were validating this? Because I know even today in one of your emails you sent out, you're just like, look, 99% of the people that reply to this or see this are going to like it. I'm going to get 1% of haters. That's just part of how it is. Like, how have you started to come to terms with like that being okay and not letting that get to you and keeping you from progressing moving forward with it?
There's two things. One is you've already experienced this before with a different thing. I'll explain what that means. And then two is inevitably the hate that you get, I've been doing this for as long as I have, those people, I'll say this in a kind way, essentially are not that relevant. So let me break down both of those, because the second one might make some people mad, but I'll explain what that means. Number one is you've already experienced this before. Okay, so for example, when you decided to go to drive a car, you got a driver's license, you didn't know how to do that. So you could be like, I don't want to drive because if I get on the road, I may not know how to drive and I could run a light and get hit, or like, I may just run into something. So that could prevent you from completely doing it at all. But you also know if I can drive, I could go wherever I want and I don't have to rely on someone else. Okay, so you solve that. The second thing is like transparent, like dating. Okay, so you can decide just to not date, but then it's like, you just won't have a relationship with anybody else because you won't know how to date or talk to anyone else on the opposite sex or same sex, depending on what you want to do. So the thing is, like, at some point you're gonna have to go on a date, even though you're afraid or you're terrified and you're gonna like, what is this person thinking of me? You're gonna go on the date, right? So I say all that and jest, but like that's the same thing with content. It's like, okay, at some point you're gonna create this content and people will talk about you regardless. So if I create the content, it may be more people, but it doesn't inherently matter because that leads to number two. Because number two is the people that are typically negative, they don't inherently matter because they're probably not your avatar. Most people that are negative on the platform, on any platform, are just mad at their own life and they're projecting on you. And also I found that most people are just like hating, so they just have to spew that at you. And most people I hate on, I ask follow-up questions and they never can answer them because they knew what they said didn't even make any sense at the end of the day. So I will say at the beginning, yes, I got a lot of hurtful and certain messages that are definitely off-putting and they definitely hit me. I will say now, because I've been doing it for a good amount of time, I don't get fazed by negative things. I laugh because I also know people wouldn't say that to me in person, to be fair. Very, very small percentage of people would say what they say online to you in person. It just wouldn't happen. And also what I've realized too is that your impact of what you're sharing outweighs the random negative comments from Sally Joe 55. It doesn't inherently matter at the end of the day. So I know that sounds like very directive and could be aggressive, but I just don't really care about those opinions because they don't know who I am, first and foremost. They saw one post they didn't like, and they decided to just not like me that day or disagree with me. And it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Also, I think as well, I've noticed that people react negatively to this too. And I also say that's something that you don't want to do. Because there are people who are going to disagree with your point, but it's healthy. I've had people who come on and say, Morgan, I don't agree with this. I don't get mad. I just say, okay, what would you do differently? And then we have a healthy conversation. We end up DMing and then we're cool. I've even gotten clients from a disagreement. So I also want to say before we end this point is people disagreeing with you and people being like, let's say, toxic towards you are two different things. You could have said something that actually didn't make sense. And you have to be like, okay, the feedback here is like, that didn't actually make any sense. They're disagreeing with me because their viewpoint is different. That's fine. You can't actually get mad at that. And you actually should be excited about that because it allows you to improve and evolve your content. I like when people have honest and healthy disagreement. Mm-hmm. Then there are people who are just toxic and they're just hating to hate. And like, I don't have time for those people. I will either delete the comment or I'll say, thanks for your comment and I'll move on because I don't care enough to feed into this narrative. I know the impact that I'm making outweighs the negativity. So I know I could go on a whole tirade around this, but like that's my piece.
Episode to come there.
Yeah,
no,
it's
It's so true, and I think that's something that so many people, like the discussion side of it, that's one of my favorite, because people all of a sudden get very defensive if someone comes at it from a different point of view, and it's like, no, this is where the beauty happens. This is where the magic happens, because more often than not, like, you're disagreeing on a recruiting tactic, a marketing tactic, a sales tactic, like these little things, like how I do this, how you do this. Learn from it. Learn their objections. Learn their point of view. I bet it's going to add to what you do and make you a lot better, and think about the different point of view. Like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. Let's incorporate it. Like, it becomes a power when you just drop your ego a little bit, learn from it, take from it, and then, yeah, to your point on the flip side, like if it's a hater, if it's someone that's just having a bad day, it's not even worth it, man. Just let them go. That's it.
It's not. If anyone leaves a negative comment, they're having a way worse day than you. So I actually feel bad for people who leave negative comments, because like whatever's happening in your life isn't that great. To be fair, like something's wrong, and I hope that person can figure it out and sort it. But I don't take that personally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move into LinkedIn itself. So as we were talking about earlier, like you've been at this for 8 years, top voice on LinkedIn, tons of followers. What I love is that you share these very tactical plays using LinkedIn, using other business development practices, strategies, tactics. So I picked out 3 that I want us to go through, because I think the recruiters are going to be able to use these incredibly well. Like you talk about them all the time. So I'll give you the name of them, and then I'm sure that's going to... First, I want to hear the story of how you named some of these, and then I'll let you get into them. All right, so the first one is the boomerang.
Do you want me to explain how I came up with each one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the boomerang. I'll tell you how I came up with the name, and then I'll tell you what the play is. So boomerang comes from... Y'all gonna laugh at this one. The first iteration of this movie was terrible, but it actually got better. Suicide Squad. So yeah. I'm a huge DC fan. Captain Boomerang. So obviously boomerangs come back to you, and Captain Boomerang, his boomerang always comes back to him. And also it's just something that like people don't expect, right? And so that's why we call it the boomerang play, because the play is you can do this on normal LinkedIn, but let's say you have Sales Navigator, which most people do. I filter it to see what past companies someone has worked at that is a client. So basically, for contextual example, when I was at JB Sales selling sales training, our biggest client was Salesforce. So literally day 2 when I started there, I was like, I need to go build pipeline. So I just found every sales leader that had worked at Salesforce and moved to a new company, because then my email is super simple. Saw you worked at Salesforce. I know that you've probably gone through John's training before. Here's how we're making it evolve or unique. Let's chat. Very easy to convert those. And so that's the boomerang play, is we're finding someone who worked at a place that was a client of ours. We've already helped this person. We've already helped this company. And we have results. And so if we mention that we got results at a company you used to work at, you're more likely to talk to us. And so that boomerang is, hey, I saw you go there, and now you're coming back to us. And that's why we call it the boomerang play. And it comes from Captain Boomerang. That's the reason why we call it that.
Okay. Background's impeccable. I love that. Yeah, that's a conversation. DC versus Marvel. That's another one that we'll have to get into someday. But yeah, this is one of those that, like, the way you just explained it, it is so simple. But we would never, like, I'll take this back. The way you phrased it is so simple, but we often overlook it or look for these crazy things. But it's just like, hey, I worked with you, or we've got this credibility, we've got this trust already. You understand exactly what's happened. You're just somewhere new, and you're still perfectly fitting within like an organization type that I can help. Like, let's continue this. Let's keep getting those great results that you already saw before and you're familiar with. So, yeah, I love this play. Great way. So, you mentioned that you'll reach out to them. Do you have any channels specific that you would recommend, like email, LinkedIn DMs, or just whatever works best?
I would say the first and foremost, always double down what's already working best for you. So, for example, if you're finding that you're calling people in your sourcing talent, whatever you're doing, and you're nailing it, do more calls. If you're finding emails nailing it, do more emails. So that would be my first thing, is whatever you are doing really well at already, just double down on that. that should be the first thing that you do. Now, what I tell people is LinkedIn is going to be the best because if you can connect with them and then you send that and then they see, okay, yeah, you work at X, it's just easier to convert that opportunity, but they may not always be the case. I would just lean on doubling down on what you started working for you, but I'm always a huge fan of LinkedIn as well as the go-to mechanism here.
Okay, I like it. And yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in like shiny object, new platform, new channel, new this or that. It's like if you're killing on something, stick with it.
Stick
Until
with
you've
it.
literally hit the point of diminishing returns. Stick with it. Yeah.
I mean that's why I'm biased because I always say like hey, LinkedIn. I just like this is where all my meetings are. I already have authority. I have validation already. There's no reason for me to go reach out to people on Twitter, right? And like I mean I'm growing there, but also like I just have more validation on LinkedIn. So it's way easier for me to get a meeting there than any other channel. So I'm not really I don't really spend a lot of time on email unless I need to follow up with someone outside of the platform because they're not answering. I know LinkedIn is where I'm going to win at the end of the day.
Love it. Okay. All right. Second play. Surprise step back.
Okay. So a lot of people don't like this player. And the thing is like, it is what it is, but whatever you feel about this player, I need you to emotionally remove it and hear me out. So James Harden plays in the NBA. Is he the best that he used to be when he was on the Rockets? No, I don't think he is. Does he foul bait? And that's why they actually changed the entire rules, by the way, because he foul baited. He does do that. But here's the thing. No one can deny. I don't really care anyone to say. No one can deny the time he had at the Rockets is one of the most legendary regular season runs that we've seen. And also, if Chris Paul doesn't get injured, and he doesn't, they end up winning. I don't forget what year it was. They would have won the title that year. I want to be very clear with everyone on that. They would have won if they beat the Warriors, and they should have, but they didn't. It's fine, but they would have. So anytime it was like, oh, he didn't get a championship, that doesn't matter. He was dropping 50, 60 points a game, and no one could stop him at the highest level of basketball. So clearly he was good at something. So why do I call it the surprise step back? Because, again, I'll have this debate with anybody. He has one of, if not the best step backs in NBA history. Yeah. I don't know anyone else who could just be like lulling you to sleep, step back, and hit the three as smooth as he does, right? So we call it the surprise step back because that's what it is. No one's really expecting you to hit them up off the profile view because most people don't do it. So what happens is, I'm dribbling the ball, which essentially is like me putting out content, me commenting. That's me just dribbling the ball. And then once you hit my profile view, I'm stepping back and hitting a three, which is me messaging you. Because now I've lulled you to sleep with the content, right? Content, commenting, whatever. You come to my profile view, you get hit with a message pretty quickly. People are like, wait, whoa, what's going on? That's why we call it the surprise step back. So for context, the way it works is anyone who views your profile, we're going to send them a message. If they're within your ideal customer profile or your avatar, or you're trying to source or talent someone, like for all of you out there, this is someone that you've been trying to get in front of or you've been talking to and we want to engage with them. So all I do is I have two messages. One of them you don't have to use. It works for me. And I'm going to go ahead and preface this right now. Some people are like, oh, that's outrageous. I would never do it. That's why I'm telling you it's a little outrageous and you may not want to do it. So if I have comments and people say, oh, boy, that was crazy. It's like, I'm telling you, it's a little crazy. So
it'll work.
But it does work. So let's go with the crazy one first. Because I know I was like, okay, Morgan, give it the crazy one. So when someone views my profile, all I say is, say I was talking to Sam, right? I say, hi, Sam. Saw you view my profile. Did I do something wrong? That's literally all I say. And yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure you're gonna get to this, but yeah, like what's the response to something like that?
Most people laugh, as you just did. And they laugh and they go, no, you didn't do anything wrong at all. I was looking at your profile because of X. Or I've literally had people be like, no, you didn't do anything wrong at all. You've actually been doing it right. I want to meet with you.
Okay.
So this leads into, most of the time, it leads into meetings.
Fair. All right. I'm just like thinking, man, like people that have just, guilt-ridden childhoods. I grew up with a Jewish mother, love her to death, but everything is just guilt trip after guilt trip. I'm just like, did I do something wrong? And picturing that side. But no, that's interesting. Like, you wouldn't, yeah, because it's such a question that no one ever gets. And I bet that's also part of why it lands so well, why you get responses. Like, who else is getting a DM asking, like, did I do something wrong? Especially after they saw that, like, you were checking out their profile or something else. So it's just a little, just a mental shakeup with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it throws people off every single time. But then they come back and they respond that way. I also will, whatever you want to call it, GIF or GIF, I add in this, it's this llama. I can't, like, I would have to, maybe we can send it as a follow-up to show you what it looks like.
Oh, we'll overlay it on the video of this. If you can explain what it is, we will find this thing and we will just pop it in so people can see it right now.
Yeah, hold on, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna actually go on Messenger real quick in real time to figure out exactly what I type here. But if you type in, like, I think it's like either like peeking around the corner or like peekaboo or whatever. Okay. There's this llama that shows up. And it's like literally, it's like peeking around the corner, and then it comes back. it's literally like it like comes out of a rock, and then it goes away to show you, like, oh, did I do something wrong? It's perfect. And now I have to figure out exactly what it is because I just have it like hard coded at this point. But like, I'm gonna find it and tell y'all exactly what the terms are.
Perfect. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Because it's literally like, it's so good. It's so good.
I will say, I'm searching a GIF search engine right now, and what is popping up for this is, it's impossible not to laugh at a llama if you just even see that on its own.
It's no one's prepared for it, and most people are like, wait, what the heck is going on? So yeah, it's funny.
All right, we'll find that. We'll add it in.
We'll find it. Because I forgot exactly what the naming on it is, but yeah, we'll find it. It's hilarious.
All right, so you've got the shock and awe DM. What's the for those people who are a little bit more conservative, want to try something else before jumping straight into the crazy? What's another one that you might toss in?
Yeah. Okay. So this one, it's so, again, everything I'm about to give you all is like, you can be like, wow, this is like really straightforward. So it literally the same thing. Saw you view my profile, and it just says, how can I help?
Much more toned down. Yeah.
Much more toned down than did I do something wrong?
Okay. And so I think the thing that works well about this is it's like these low-hanging fruit. You can literally see who is viewing your profile. Are they the type of people you want to talk to? You know that they are familiar with you, at least by name or something at this point. So yeah, I think this is just something not that many people do, even though we get notifications every day. Hey, these 3 people viewed your profile. See this full list and more. Like, click on this. But no one really utilizes that, or at least I don't want to say no one. Like, I feel like and you talk to organizations all the time. I'm sure that you would probably see like what the heavy minority maybe touches it, but most won't get into it.
No, or some people just forget that it's there. Weirdly enough, like they're just like, oh, profile views, whatever, and it's like, no, this is pretty big. Gold mine. Yeah, like you might want to tap into this.
Meanwhile, they're just trying to get account level information of seeing who's viewed their company page. It's like, yo, you can see the exact people and their profiles and their titles and everything here. But yeah, hey, if you don't have to pay for it, there's no value to it, right? That's what we all seem to be trained on. Yeah. All right. So that's play number 2. Let's talk play number 3, which is a little bit more, I'll call it a medium/approach than a specific play, but it's voice notes. Yeah. And this is something that you've been very bullish on. I stole this play. I tested it myself when we ran our event back in London. Yeah. I wrote a small little Tactical Tuesday about it, but I want to hear this from you because you were the inspiration behind it and have even more data on this than I do.
Yeah, okay. So this is where people get a little upset with me. And I'm going to add this disclaimer before I tell you the advice. Most people, when I give out the voice note advice, they get in a tizzy because they're like, oh, I would never respond to that. And that's actually the worst way of thinking about something. Because just because you would not respond, it does not mean that other people wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
Like,
are you your ICP?
Exactly. Like, I don't like emails at all. But I do know that some people like them. So if my ICP likes the emails, I'm going to learn how to write some emails. Just to be clear. So you have to really look at how would your audience react to X thing. And if you haven't tested it, you should probably test it. Now, to a degree, I know there's some things that you could adjust and do when it comes to the voice notes, etc., and how long you make them. Obviously, that's annoying. And I do wish that LinkedIn had the transcription, like they have them on iMessage now. I wish they had that, but they don't. And until that happens, it is what it is. But I'll tell you all why this works so well. I have asked, I don't know, every year I'll probably ask like 50 to 70 executives, probably in just my conversations I have, how many voice notes did they get on LinkedIn? A shocking 5 to 10 a year. So I asked in the past 12 months, how many have you gotten? 5 to 10 is the average. So that's where I get confused. Why would you not do something that most people don't get? That means that you've interrupted the pattern and you're going to be different. Why would you not do that? And the thing is, voice notes aren't that difficult to do. I'm going to give you all a framework of exactly what to do, but they're not that difficult. Like, for example, I know Sam, we've been talking about like obviously our fitness journeys, right? I could go walk 10,000 steps and send out 40 voice notes at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I
on
can
the go.
On the go, I get my workout in, but also I do exactly what I need to do. So then it's like, why would you not do that while you could do something else too? So the way that I do this with the voice notes, there is no name for this, but I have a framework, which is called the 10-30-10. And essentially the goal is to make your voice note less than 50 seconds. If we've statistically seen throughout all the people I've worked with, I probably have listened to over 5,000 voice notes at this point, to be fair, and I've sent over like 1,000 to myself. And we've just seen if it goes over 50 seconds, like it's pretty much dead. Like you're not going to get that response. And also you have a 60-second limit on these voice notes. So you need to be less than 50 seconds anyways. So when you're doing the 50 seconds, the reason we call it the 10-30-10 is it breaks down the seconds of delivery that you need. So the first 10 seconds is, what's the reason you're reaching out? Why are you reaching out? Did you see that they recently have moved into a new field, a new job? You see that they're hiring, like whatever it is, right? You have a reason of why you're reaching out. Then the middle is the value prop. So what are you offering as the recruiter, as talent? Like what are you offering to them? What is different about what you do than everybody else? And that it can be found in your emails too. It's just, you're just saying it out loud. And then the last 10 seconds is the call to action. So there's been a lot of advice on this, but I keep it pretty consistent. You want to say like, hey, would you be open to learning more? Or is this something that you would like to learn about in more detail? One that a lot of people have really liked is, are you curious to have a deeper dialogue on this? These call to actions people love. So they want to actually learn more and hear more from you when you do that. So that's another piece as well.
I like that. And it's so easy to incorporate into your day. So aside from the pattern interrupt, as you said, like no one's getting these. So do it while you're out walking. Do it, while you're doing anything.
5 a day.
To be completely honest. Yeah, it's so easy. It's faster than typing. I can promise you that. Just go talk and then go type. Same thing as writing. Why it always takes longer.
Yeah.
But it also has you being so much more conversational and less jargony. Like you're not gonna use words like streamline and all that other crap that we see in these awful emails that you're just like, this reeks of sales breath. I don't even want to answer it, but it's like, it's you talking like you're on the phone to someone else. So you have that going for you. But what I also like, and I know you said that it doesn't have the transcription. I honestly like that it doesn't, because it creates curiosity. You have no idea what's behind that audio note. And it makes you want to listen to it. Like, ooh, this is interesting. I never have these. Like, what's going on? What do they say? And you're going to listen. And again, like keep it short, knowing that, you have a 60-second limit. But yeah, it's like, to your point of how you set this up with like 10-30-10, like you've got that hook early on that they quickly understand, like, okay, this is the purpose of the message, why they're reaching out. Okay, cool. Like this is relevant. This isn't relevant, but it's short. It's quippy. People can also listen to on the go from their phones. So yeah, right now I don't see a downside to this, to be completely honest, other than you just have to be a first degree connection with the person to be able to send it, right?
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to clarify. You have to be first degree connected, but that's it.
So yeah, I'd say like try it. I did it for our event. I mean, we saw, it's like what on LinkedIn you usually get like a 2% reply rate or something with when it's just normal text. I had a 40% reply rate on the audio. And again, even though most of them were just saying like, hey, appreciate the note, like not interested in attending this event, but keep us in the loop for the future. Like I'll still gladly take all those responses over just nothing at all.
Yeah. The voice note is an absolute game changer. Saw the same thing. We have a 45% response rate. So like I'm gonna keep riding that all day long.
Yeah. And then unfortunately it will become best practice in the sense of like trending best practice. Everyone's going to do it. And then we'll be back here in a year with something new, right?
A hologram, honestly. That's probably what the next thing is going to be. But that might be too
Llama
creepy for
hologram.
people. Yeah,
That's all right.
a llama hologram would be the move for sure.
What's the memojis? You know, when you're FaceTiming someone, you can put like an animal head on yourself. I do it with my daughter all the time, and it's the funniest thing. I mean, she's 15 months old. She has no idea, but like family thinks it's hilarious. You start doing that, hey, I'm on board.
That's the game changer.
We'll try that out. All right, cool. So those are the plays. Before we get into my final bonus question, just topic that's unrelated, like any other just quick hitters, ones that you're testing right now that you're bullish on, or other little tips within that realm?
I'm really into the reply to the reply. This play I've been testing, and it's so good because when you think about people on LinkedIn, right, they obviously are engaging and they're commenting. And most people are lurkers, but they will like and comment, but they won't post themselves. So one cool thing we've been doing, or I've been testing, is I'll find people who are like, doesn't really matter. They could be someone looking for a job. They could be a company that is you're trying to get in front of that's hiring or whatever, and you're trying to get in front of the decision maker. People still comment and engage. So what I'll do is comments that they've left on other posts, I'll reply to their comment on other posts and start a conversation with them.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, because, I mean, they're, as you said, I know the feed looks crowded today, but 90% of people aren't posting
They're
the
not.
actual like posts or anything else, but you can go click on their profile and see all their activity. What are they liking? What are they commenting on and everything else? And yeah, that's a great spot to, I can't get in touch with Mary Jane over here. She's not replying to emails, not replying to lists. Like, go comment on something that she's dropped a comment on, as long as it's not like 6 months ago, and then it just seems creepy because you've clearly been stalking her LinkedIn. But like, they're always going to want to have a conversation based off of that, or like, it's just such an easy way to humanize yourself with it too.
Yeah, I would say a 1 to 2 month window, because there are posts that could recirculate, right?
Yeah.
And if you do it and it's a good amount of comments, make sure you go to like a couple. Don't go to just that one person. Go to like a couple so you don't look suspect. Because if you comment on like 3 to 4 people, then it's like, oh, this person, you were just commenting on a couple. But if it's just them, it will look a little suspect. So just be mindful of that.
Okay, good pro tip there. Anti-stalking with Morgan.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught up.
We'll love it. Okay, so bonus question. I've been getting your email newsletters, been loving them for a while, and I've started to notice this in your posts in recent months as well, where you're starting to talk more about like the things that you like in your daily life. So you're talking about like, what are the video games that you're into, the TV shows, movies, and I also love that you're not just like, five like favorite video games, go 5 favorite movies, but you're like breaking it down by genre. Like we were just talking before this episode, you're like, here's my 5 favorite animes, like let's hear what everyone else has to say, and like then you ask what other people's are. You're talking about personal decisions that you're making that have helped you level up, so like your healthcare routine, your workout schedule, you're not drinking anymore. This one I love, like deliberately carving out time to talk to friends and family. Like all of us who are busy know the pain of just like, you get to the end of it, you're just like, man, I haven't caught up with them in so long, and you feel guilty about it. But I want to unpack that one in a second with you. But all this to say, like, what spurred you to really get into sharing more of this like personal information in channels where most are traditionally only getting like business, career advice content?
Yeah, so I think it was about, I want to say it was in like May, June. I felt like I was so, my brain is very, I mean, obviously we just broke down my plays, right? My brain, that's how my brain works. It's like, here's a play, we systematically break it down, here's advice, see you later. That's it, right? And I thought more of that, and it's like, but that's what people want to obviously get results. But I have more things to holistically share than just these plays. And I also have been through just a lot as I've been building my own company, and I've evolved as a person, because building a company for most people, if you've even done a side hustle, same thing. It makes you evolve as a person by force, and if you don't, you won't succeed. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So as I've gone through this, I've had a lot of conversations with people in May and June. It was just like 1-to-1 conversations where I was sharing personally what I was going through. And more people are like, wait, why don't you talk about this? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like people don't really care. It's just like, I'm just telling you what I do and how I've been able to do X thing. And more people are just like, you need to share more of this stuff. Like what you're actually doing that is allowing you to have the output of the professional thing. So I was like, cool, let me test it. So I just started voice noting myself, ironically enough, things that were in my head. And then I was like, let's put it out there and see how people respond. And ever since I started doing that, the response in the newsletter was powerful. And then I was like, so this was June we did from the beginning of May to like mid-June. I took time off for 2 weeks from June to beginning of July. And I remember in that moment, there was the first trip where I was like present in the moment. Like I didn't bring my laptop. I didn't get on social media. I just was like in the moment. And I was like, wow, like when I was in the moment, I felt like more of myself. I felt like I was more connected, and it brought a lot of ideas of things that I had grown through that I was like experiencing. And I was like, when I come back, I'm just going to open that up even more. Like, what if I just open up more on like what's actually happening in my head and how I'm operating through life? And ever since I came back from that vacation or holiday, if you're listening internationally, the feedback on just what I'm sharing personally has actually outweighed my own techniques that I share that people pay for my clients. And so I've just realized that people truly want to see the journey that you're on, and they want to go on that journey because they're probably facing something similar, but maybe they don't know how to articulate it, or maybe they don't have someone else out there that they can look at to inspire them to do more. And so now I've just been more open with all those things on struggles I'm going through and how I overcame them, but also things that I found out to be really cool. And now I'm going to start doing more of those because of it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's been fun to watch because this is one thing that so many people struggle with. To your point, is like, who wants to hear about this? This isn't relevant. And you might post one or two and you're just like, oh, this gets 25% of the likes I get in my other stuff. Clearly it's not relevant. But what you usually find, and what I've seen doing the same type of thing, is but the engagement rate is so much higher. And also that's the stuff that people remember about you. Like in the past handful of years, I've made some really, really good personal connections with people that I've met through LinkedIn, and it's been through this type of content. That's not like, here's your top 5 ways to increase your leads this year, but it's just like, it's the personal stuff because they relate to that, and that's what is built off of. So I love that you bring this up, especially in the newsletters, and you even talk about like, that's what people are not necessarily, all the content's resonating with them, but that's what's deepening you compared to like, I could go follow 10 other creators, but they're probably looking forward to your newsletter the most because of that.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's not me saying that's why people do it because it's my hypothesis. This is like real-time feedback. People being like, yeah, I can go get information elsewhere, but they were like, it feels different. Or what the kids are saying now, the aura, like the aura is different, right? This is feedback people give me. I'm not even making this up. Someone's like, the aura on this newsletter is different. I'm like, great. That means it's going in the right direction. More so, I think, in the past 3 months than when I originally started it. Maybe a year ago, I think I've been doing it. So in the past 3 months, as I've shifted to be like more open with that, the feedback has been way better, and people are like, we like this, so it's like, great, we'll double down and do more. And I also feel like, to your point, people remember that, like, okay, this person's going through this is how they're doing it, this is how they're seeing it, and again, only benefit from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's real, and a feeds of just like garbage, sales breath, all of that. It's like, okay, this is like a real person. It's genuine, and you can't fake that because people can also read through that really quickly. So what I love about it is like, one, you can't make that stuff up, and two, ChatGPT can never write that stuff either. So people can quickly see like, oh, this is like Morgan's actually creating this content. Yeah. And that's something I think is going to continue to differentiate and make you stand out more and more as time goes on.
100%. Yeah, it's been I just started this 2 weeks ago. Because I saw it in a video and I thought it was really cool. So every Sunday, I'll take like an hour or two. And there's like different things that I do. One of those things in the beginning is reflecting on the past week. So like I'll look at my calendar, I'll see what happened. And then it's just literally a video or a voice note to me about what happened. And it's just like super raw. It's like, yo, I had this conversation with this person, this sucked. Or it's just like, yo, like I closed this and that was cool. Or like, I made a misstep there. Or like, I was in the gym and this workout was great. It's just that constant reflection and self-awareness to your own self is important, because I believe that we get in a rut sometimes where we just are doing things to do things, and then it's not good. And that happens with a lot of content creators, to be fair with everybody. Like, or even in sales, talent, like any role, you start doing something and you either get really good at it or you're just like, this is what I do. But then you forget the actual component of how you actually get to conclusions on certain things. So in the past 2-3 weeks, as I've been doing the journal, I basically will just talk out loud. And then I have a basically on the background, speaking of ChatGPT, AI will actually filter it by categories that I gave it. And it'll tell me, hey, this is what you experienced this week. And then I will review it, and then I'll actually talk to AI. We'll go back and forth and say, hey, like, this is actually what I meant. This is what I did here, so I can reflect on it. And it's been very therapeutic because now I can go into each week being like, whoa, okay, like consistently, this is getting me really excited. So I need to do more. Or like, this is really annoying me, and like, I need to fix the problem. Like, I either need to like call for help, or I just need to like be more disciplined, or whatever it is. So I think that's also evolved the content too, because now I can piece everything together, and I feel more whole about it too, because I'm not holding anything back. I think that's also a big piece of it too. Is like when you start creating content like this for people that want to create content, you don't feel like you're holding anything back. So like you show up even more, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that level of reflection, introspection, and everything else with that is, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, just rinse and repeat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like you go through school and you're just like, man, 11th grade took forever, and now you're just like, how's it already summer again? Like, it was just like 3 weeks ago, it was last year, and now it's already another year's gone by. So, no, that's something I might have to start incorporating. I like that advice, so appreciate it.
I can. Well, the thing is, it's not from me. It came from someone named Ravi. He has a whole system that he broke down, and I'm looking at my calendar right now. I have it written out, so if anybody wants it, I could send it to you, and you can send it to everybody who just like wants to do that weekly breakdown. It's been really helpful for me, and I've started to customize it for like my own needs, but it's been good.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll drop that in the show notes, so anyone who wants to listen to it can grab it.
Cool.
Well, all right, man. Well, that's everything for this first one. But yeah, as we wrap, like, dude, this was a perfect end to our August BizDev series. I mean, it was a great conversation just in business development, but just like life, career, that stuff in general too. So before we get into the final wrapping stuff, like I've mentioned your newsletter. I've mentioned that you've got a shit ton of followers on LinkedIn. Like, where can people find you? Or where do you want them to find you and follow you?
Yeah. So I mean, Sam can vouch on this because he's in it. Like, I encourage you all, yes, you could follow me on LinkedIn, but definitely check out the newsletter for sure. I mean, that's where I would say if you want the real tactical and also like how to do X, like it's in the newsletter. That's where I'm getting extremely personal and tactical about everything. Like, I give out tips on the cheat code section, which is part of like our newsletter section where I give out like life hacks that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Like, especially when it comes to travel. I've traveled a lot. I've been to a lot of places. And I say, hey, look, when you go to, for example, this is advice for everybody. If you go internationally and they ask you why you're going to somewhere, tell them you're going to a meeting. Don't ever say anything else, because you will get caught up and you might get pulled over, like, and they might be like, what are you doing here? Always say you're in a meeting, because no one can ever refute that. And then if they ask you where the meeting is, just say it's at your hotel. And they're going to ask the hotel and just say it's a meeting at the hotel. I promise you, no one ever asks questions when you do this. Every country I go to, I say meeting, and they're like, cool, see ya.
They don't want to deal with it. They don't want
I'm telling you the hack. If you try to say like, oh, I'm here to do like something, then they're going to think that you're stealing. I'm just telling you, they're going to think that you're stealing money from the country, and they're going to start asking you more pressing questions. But if you just say you're going for a meeting, it's like, yeah, I'm just meeting somebody.
Simple.
Easy. Yeah.
I like it. All right. What's the name of your newsletter, and where can people find it?
The newsletter is called The Commish. I have no idea how they let me have this name, but I have no idea how it wasn't taken. Commish, obviously for commission. So definitely go check it out. If you go on my LinkedIn, actually, it's part of my feature section, Commish, so you can sign up for the newsletter there. And yeah, my last piece that I'll give you all is, I know we shared some tactics here. I think Jen Allen was on this as well. I was talking to her earlier this morning. Amazing people. Like, all the people that Sam's bringing on to give you all advice, please execute on this advice. That's the last thing I'm going to tell you, because I'm vetting out some options for some software that we want to like invest into as a business. And I also get hit up all the time on LinkedIn, and I'm very, very public. I mean, we just talked about it, and people still have terrible messages to me, and people still get on calls asking me, what do I do in my background? Which I literally want to throw up when that happens. So the thing is that like the bar to success is so low that if you do the stuff we're talking about, like you will be successful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it's been a fun month of really making sure that we curate, the best people. And as I said, like the thought leaders who are doing things different, better. Like this is what's going to get you ahead. So, all right, man, this was fun. I really appreciate you joining. I already know, like I learned a lot with this. I learned a lot with your newsletter. I hope other recruiters have really started to think about this, internalize it, and are going to start incorporating it into their day-to-day moving forward. So let us know if you do. Reply to Morgan if you do. I promise he actually replies back to his newsletters too, which is really cool. I've done that with him before. So yeah, that's the show, everyone. Morgan, thank you again for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you loved this episode, which I know you did, and you're not sure where to go next, we've got a link to a similar one. You can find those in the show notes. Full video episodes are available on YouTube. If you have questions, send them to us, podcast@loxo.co. And if you like this episode, please just leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It takes 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone. Phenomenal wrapping episode with Morgan Ingram. Until next time. Bye, y'all.